us. We've got Martin, what are you, COO of Commend here in Australia. Chief Operating Officer.
Exactly.
Very good.
Stuff that nobody else wants to do.
Now you've got probably the toughest, not the toughest, I think Pete's got the toughest session, but getting people in after a break's been fun for today. Well, I just want to touch on my journey with Commend. Like I've been, I think, using Commend since Laurie was a boy. Like we've been putting Commend into parking systems for probably 25 years, and we've always found the relationship with Peter and I've actually been to the head office, been amazing. Commend have always been innovative. They've always been super reliable, and it's great to have you on today as a partner of the event. So we really appreciate it. I'm pretty keen to hear what's happening in the AI space in intercoms.
Thank you very much. Everybody here? I think some people went home. Thank you. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Welcome, my name is Martin. Thanks for the introduction. We have actually been in Australia for 25 years, so this actually checks out the numbers. We've been around for about 50-ish years, Austrian company. We are, in this space, we're probably very much known as the parking people. I want to show you a little bit more about what we do today outside of parking, because parking is sort of like 20% of what we do, probably even less, but there's some cool stuff that I want to talk about. Obviously, you've got to talk about AI these days. Okay, there they are. I'll give you a quick intro to those who don't know Commend or haven't heard any updates from us in the last few years. There's a few reasons for it, but we've got a new sales team now, so you probably hear about us a lot more now. We're an Austrian company. We were family owned until a few years ago. Australia, we're still privately owned majority-wise. We are sort of the market leader in enterprise-grade intercom and PA systems. The more complex, the more network, the more tricky things get, the better we get. I always tell my guys, if somebody wants a doorbell, they should probably go somewhere else because we're pretty too expensive. We make everything in Austria, from software design to product design. Our production is there. We make motherboards, we make everything ourselves, which is really good because you have a lot of transparency to your supply chain. You also show your customers what you can do. And if any one of you ever comes to Salzburg or wants a trip or a reason to go there, let me know. I'm happy to arrange a meeting there with my guys, because once you see how we do things, you get it a little more as well. I'll just show you a little bit of what you see on the outside world. You see intercom stations, touchscreen, no touchscreen, cameras, no cameras. We have built-in QR code reader software. We have speakers that have microphones where you can then detect certain sounds and things and initiate calls either to AI or not. That's the stuff you see on the front. You have then obviously your mobile apps and everything. However, what's really happening these days is the back end is way more important than the edge devices, because edge devices, again, you press a button, you talk to someone. That's the basic functionality. We obviously got a lot more to give than that, more vendor resistance, cybersecurity, all those kind of things. The platform itself is actually where it then comes together. You have those layers of edge devices, then you have your control and command systems, but then it revolves around your server infrastructure, which is either on-premise, private cloud, or our public-private cloud. And that's where you actually then have the integrations. That's something where we probably excel better than most people in our industry. Because we do everything ourselves, we can then integrate into every other subsystem that there is. We have 140, 150 integrations. If we don't have one, we can make one. We have fairly robust APIs, SDKs, and so on. Probably recognize a few names up here. I said this is just a summary. We have 150 or so. The other thing where we are really good at is cybersecurity. We were the first intercom company to be 27001 certified. We're still the only ones that is IEC 62443. We talk about our pen tests, internal, external. We publish all the results. Not in too much detail, obviously. And that's the stuff we do. We purely focus on critical infrastructure. Parking a lot of times is critical infrastructure because you are part of a critical infrastructure project, hospitals, airports, military bases, all those kind of things. We don't do a lot of commercial grade buildings because the requirements just aren't there for us to be good at. When it comes to parking and beyond, obviously, you see us in everything from help points, entries, exits, APMs, and so on. The interesting thing now is, and that's where the AI topic comes into play, is how do you optimize those systems? And how do we then enable our customers not just have really good customer experience in a car park, but also then carry this onto their infrastructure that they actually aligned with? How do you have good wayfinding in a car park, and then how do you translate that into your hospital, for instance? There's a bunch of cool things that we do, and that's something I want to talk to you about today. Obviously, you're not a company today when you don't have AI, so hence the topic. However, what I want to talk more about is where AI actually helps our customers, and what we have already implemented, where we have data on, where we actually can talk about what it actually does, and not just some nice promises, but what we actually do with AI. And just an example, a few examples where AI can really help our customers to streamline operations and so on. On the operations level, we basically integrate AI solutions to just improve control room operations, make it more efficient, make it fully available, make it scalable, all those kind of things. I go into details there in a bit. What I want to talk about is our virtual assistant today. I also want to talk about how we use AI to clean out background noise from our communication systems, and also how we can do live translations between the edge device and the operator, so you can just create a much better customer experience by talking a whole bunch of languages to your customer. We've won a bunch of awards. IC West, last few years, we won awards for these. We actually just won another award in Singapore yesterday. It was a Maryline award at the security event there for Ivy, for our virtual assistant, and that's also the first thing I want to talk about today. It's a conversational AI-based assistant which helps you run your operations better, being a parking operator in that case. What it does is it does call routing based on keywords, based on rules that you set up yourself, that it goes straight to an operator, that it answers questions by yourself. It is then the virtual operator that you can control. And that's where I come into a bit on the next page is we built this system from ground up. We don't really rely on other large language models that sometimes come up with ideas themselves if they don't know the answer. So we did this all ourselves. And obviously in the back end you get a lot of reporting, admin, and so on. I'll show you a bit more about that in a few slides as well. What do we do? First of all, you pick up a call. If you have 5 operators, get 10 calls, somebody has to wait. Ivy is scalable. It always picks up the call within half a second. So that's customer experience improved right there. Empty calls, we see with a lot of our operators, 20 to 40% are empty calls. Somebody presses the button, by the time somebody answers, they already walked away, they found a ticket, they just played a joke and so on. That call with Ivy never gets to the operations room because it just asks 2 or 3 times, how can I help you? Are you there? Nobody's answering, it just hangs up. You get rid of those 20, 30% of calls right there, which is pretty interesting, especially if you're a big operator getting a few thousand calls a day. You can obviously then forward calls where Ivy can't help you or where you define a rule that it's an emergency or something needs to go straight to the operator, it goes straight to the operator. The operator then already sees what Ivy has talked to the customer, so you don't have to rehash the whole thing again. That's something we're introducing actually in a few weeks. You can, as I said, you get data insights, you get different languages. There's a whole lot of things you can do. We can talk about the functionality for half an hour itself, but I want to show you a little more about this. Conversational AI, the AI bit is not so much into coming up with answers or something like that, or Googling things. That's the stuff you actually control. What we program Ivy on is it actually determines what your intent of your question is. Somebody forgot his ticket somewhere. Previous chatbots, if you don't say lost ticket, it doesn't know what your problem is. Here, if you say a can't find my ticket, I know where my ticket is in my car. It realizes, okay, that person doesn't have a ticket. And then that's the AI bit that it realizes, okay, what do you actually want? And then it comes up with a pre-programmed answer. If you lost your ticket, you do this, you do that, or it forwards it to your operator. That's all up to you. The thing, again, to stress here is we programmed this so it comes up with the answer you wanted to provide, and not so much that it comes up with something. And that's the difference between normal LLMs that you use in ChatGPT. They sometimes come up with some weird things because they feel bad if you don't answer. And here, if it doesn't have the answer, it goes straight to the operator. That's sort of the main difference in the actual practical use case. We have captions. If you have a touch screen on there or any screen, you can basically then also read what Ivy is saying. Just added customer experience. The cool thing there obviously also is if you then have another language, it then also obviously brings it up in a different language. Conversation flows, I talked about that. That's basically how you program the whole thing. It's a web interface, very easy to use. It has headings, say lost ticket, and then you come up with the answer you want Ivy to give or whatever it should then initiate. Some people say I want to open the gate, some people say call the operator, some people say do this, do that. That's all up to you. You can also automatically translate it in different languages. We launched that in April this year. What we're launching currently is, you see our web interface that the operator answers the call. On the top you see the call queue, the 3 calls that are in the queue right now, and you already see what the operator has talked to Ivy about on this as well. So you can just pick up the phone saying, hey, I heard you lost your ticket, let me help you with that. Again, customer experience. Statistics, data insights, there's a whole lot of obviously data that you get from this, which is really good if you want to manage your operations. You get heat maps when it comes to call times, questions, you can even get heat maps when you have a device sending more calls than average or than the other device. So you can probably see, okay, there may be something in there, so you can send a maintenance crew there even though you didn't get any error messages or something. These are all things you can get out of the data. You can all export it, then Power BI, whatever you want to do with your data, it's all up to you. All the calls are also being recorded. You can replay all of those calls. They're individually timestamped, so you can then really go into analytics, into training. And the cool thing there is you can, for instance, then filter, give me all the calls that have been forwarded. You can then see what the intent of those calls was, and then you can train Ivy by yourself, saying, okay, I got the top 3 topics that Ivy forwarded to the operator was, let's keep it this simple, a lost ticket, didn't know where the bathrooms are, and the opening hours. Next step is you train Ivy on these 3 topics. Next time those questions are being answered, it then understands that and answers it yourself. And then again, you save time with the operator. We already deployed this in a bunch of different countries. I unfortunately can't mention most names, but parking and public transport across Europe and the US. And here you see call resolution rates. That means that's a percentage of all the calls that don't go to the operator anymore, that Ivy has resolved. In parking, it's about 30 to 40% that we can resolve. What we're working on with all the parking equipment manufacturers at the moment is integration into their equipment. So then you can go into their database. You can find out, okay, when did that person actually come in and how much do they actually have to pay. So this is then going to be the next step when we have done some solid APIs there. What you then can actually do when you integrate with the parking systems as well. And that's obviously the next step. But as I said, at the moment we are sitting somewhere between 30 and 60% depending on how much you want Ivy to answer. And again, it's all up to you. If you want Ivy just to answer a basic question, do that. If you want Ivy to answer more questions, that's pretty cool as well. Before going to the next step, I also want to then show this good customer experience, I believe. Why not take this to the actual infrastructure project? Why not have a help point before you leave the car park, go to the hospital, where you can already ask, hey, how do I get to ward this or that? A lot of times I was in the hospital, I walked the information desk to realize I already walked past where I came from, and all those kind of things. And obviously, you already have the software, everything in place in your car park. Why not just offer that to the hospital or the airport or somebody saying, hey, all we need to do is just program a few more questions, put a few help points in there, and all of a sudden you get really good wayfinding in a lot of different languages. Talking about languages, another thing we're launching at the moment is real-time speech translation. So you speak in your language, the operator speaks in their language, and they can talk to each other even though they don't speak each other's language. We started this in Europe. There's a lot of truck drivers from Eastern Europe drive to Spain. The Spanish security guy probably only speaks Spanish, maybe a little bit English. The Romanian doesn't speak any of that, so they have an issue. So, but now the Romanian truck driver can talk to the Spanish security guard, and they understand each other because we translate their conversations in real time. And that's another cool example of where AI can really help you improve your operations as well. That's basically what I just said. Don't have to read that again. We are at the moment able to have about 90 languages on there, which is probably most of the important ones. So yeah, you get a lot of benefits out of this, not just in parking, not just in logistics. It's an information desk, so also your information person can speak 9 different languages. They're usually pretty expensive, and they can do that in real life. So that's something where AI can really help you just improve your customer experience. And I think that's all it really is. And also as for you as mainly parking people here, if you can then tap into the customer experience budget, they're usually much bigger than the security or the surveillance budgets. That's something where you can really unlock a lot of potential just going forward to the people that actually own and operate the assets that you're just managing. So that's something where we found could be very interesting for a lot of people. Last one I want to talk about is we trained a model to detect background noise. General background noise works, cancellation works in just cutting off a few different frequencies. It's a very linear process. If your voice happens to fall into that frequency, you can't hear yourself either. Not very good. What we now do is we train an AI model that runs on our devices live on background noise. The way it works is like if you take a picture of something nowadays, you just click on the picture itself, it takes all the background off. With audio, that's unfortunately not as easily possible because you can train, I don't know, your camera to say, okay, that's a face, that's a pet, that's food, take everything else off. With voice, with audio, that's a bit hard because it's all really just frequency bands. So we then reverse that model and we then use diesel engines, wind, pedestrian noise, all those kind of things, and trained our neural network that runs on the device on those background noises. So whenever it detects some of those background noises, it sort of filters that out. So what you have in return is very clear voice and very, very loud environments, which is good if you have a bunch of different exits next to each other, logistics with a few loud trucks and all those kind of things. Wind, there's a lot of airports with a bunch of planes flying across, which is their business, so it does get loud. And if you have an operator that talks to those people 8 hours a day, it can be quite stressful. And if you can help them and your customer to have better experience, that helps a lot. I hope the video's in there that I sent through. No, it's not. It would have been just some Austrian accent with a background noise, but I think you get the point. And I'm also happy to, just come around, have a demo with you guys. You just give me a call. My number's on there, 5 minutes on LinkedIn. And any questions?
What drove the Italian statistics they like?
They just have a lot more questions than they want Ivy to answer. And I think maybe they're...
Do they do it with their hands?
Probably. And they may have also less automation in their systems itself. You know, if you don't have, I don't know, if you don't use cash anymore, there's a lot of questions that are just there. That kind of stuff. A lot of car parks, they are closed at night, so then how do I get in? Those kind of things, whereas most of our car parks are open at night. It really depends on the customer and all those kind of things.
You've got a new intercom client with the noise cancelling feature?
No, the intercom client is all the same. I mean, we have a new web client. That's like the website the operator logs on. But the noise cancellation actually runs on the device. So if you have one of the command intercoms or command intercom modules on there, that's where the noises are being taken away. And you can turn that on and off in your configuration. But the backend is exactly the same.
Yeah, so the EG908H will run with the noise cancelling?
No. It's the new module that we have launched, IM3, IM1.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to
Yeah, but that actually can replace an EG908.
Yes.
The problem we sometimes have is people perceive us as very expensive. If you then look at the total cost of ownership, we're usually pretty good because our stuff lasts forever. as in 20 years, which is forever in IT terms. What the cool thing is, we have now those replacement modules, and you can use existing cabling, existing everything, and just replace the module, and all of a sudden you have the latest cybersecurity and everything in there without ripping things out of the wall and so on, which that's sort of what we do is be very future and backwards compatible.
Any other questions? I was at ASIAL and Martin demoed the translation. I can't remember what language I was receiving calls and returning calls in, but it was working in real time in the demo that Martin had set up. So I can see that being massive in Europe, and even some of our cities here where people may not have English as their first language might make it easy to communicate back to the control room on actually what is their problem. Sometimes that's half the battle.
Yeah, we also got to stand at the Osrail show, it's like a railway show here in a few weeks, 2 weeks I think. So if you want to come by, let me know. We got all of that. That's demo there. Could be interesting for a lot of people, I think.
Awesome. Any more questions? Thanks, Martin.